Good evening. My name is Joey Smith, Chair of the Recreation and Parks Commission for City of Richmond. Welcome to our April 3rd, 2024 Commission meeting. We are coming to order at 6 p.m. Would all please rise with me to pledge allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Up next, we're doing our land acknowledgement. We humbly acknowledge that we sit within the unceded traditional ancestral homelands of the Chochenyo and Ohlone people, who have occupied and cared for this land since a distant time prior to the founding of the city of Richmond, prior to California statehood, and for centuries before the establishment of the United States. As the Recreation and Parks Commission, we strive to steward the land in a way that honors its past, current, and future inhabitants, and takes seriously the responsibility of its continued care. Our mission of this commission is to advise the City Council and City staff to provide excellent parks and recreation facilities, to preserve open space, and to provide programs that enrich, educate, and serve the needs of the diversity of the residents in Richmond. I guess I'm doing the roll call. I wasn't sure. Sure, thank you. Present.
There it goes. And Vice Chair Allison Blakely.
Present.
Secretary Samantha Torres sent an email advising she would not be in attendance today. Treasurer Marin Hurlbut.
Present.
And Commissioner Kaiser.
Present.
Commissioner Lannis also sent an email advising he wouldn't be here. And Commissioner Rowden.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So want to and will welcome all who are observing this meeting. Individuals in the audience may speak as follows. After the chair recognizes each speaker on items that are not on the agenda during the open forum, that will be a 2-minute allotment. For items on the agenda after item is heard, again, it will be a 2-minute allotment. Individuals are encouraged to send an email to recreation@ci.richmond.ca.us by 1 p.m. the day of the meeting. That does not mean that you have to send it at 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Do so beforehand whenever possible. Emails should contain in the subject line, 1, public comments and specify its open forum, or 2, public comments and include the agenda item number. Okay? All communication during this meeting is conducted with courtesy, respect, and all speakers will be advised time is up and will be asked to politely end their time if they have yet to do so. Okay, so we have our agendas in front of us. If there's anything that needs to be added, if there's a question about anything on there, please speak up.
I motion to accept the agenda as stated here.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Okay, great. We've got a motion from Treasurer Hurlbut, and second from Commissioner Kaiser. Any further discussion? Seeing no hands, hearing no voices. All in favor, please indicate by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. We will proceed. Okay, we are now at open forum.
We received, I sent an email to everyone advising no email open forums, and we have no one requesting to speak in person.
Okay. You know, sometimes people like to send things in the last minute. Okay, so we can move on. So our next regularly scheduled Recreation and Parks Commission meeting will be May 1st, Wednesday, May 1st, 2024. We currently have $413.08 in the commission trust account, and currently there have been no membership changes since our last meeting. Okay. The minutes for our March 6th meeting are before you. Hope everyone got a chance to look through them. If there's any questions, there's comments, any edits, please say yay or nay.
I have a small nitpicky comment. Under the consent calendar, it says Commissioner Kaiser voted to approve the minutes, and that should be moved to approve the minutes, because then after that, we all voted.
Okay. Gotcha. Motion by Commissioner Kaiser to approve the agenda as presented.
No, the consent calendar. 2 down.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And that should actually be
Moved.
moved. Okay, voted, not moved. Got it.
So you're moving again to correct another typing error?
I am. Sorry. Can't help it.
I understand. In meetings at work, you scan, it's like, okay, make sure they put my stuff down correctly. It's the first thing you see. Kind of like when you look at a picture of a group of people, you look for yourself in there. It's human nature. It's been studied and proven. Okay. Any further discussion about the March 6 minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept with the edit suggested by Commissioner Kaiser.
Actually, there's another spelling error.
Ah, okay. Where is it?
Let's see. Commissioner Liaison Reports, Councilmember Robinson provided an update from the Urban Forest Advisory Committee. Forest should only have one R.
So it's, ah,
Sorry, that's my last quibble.
okay.
Motion. I can't make a motion.
I get it.
What?
Somebody's got to make a
Yeah.
motion.
So,
I was
Okay, I move to accept the minutes.
okay, thank you. It's been moved by Vice Chair Blakely. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Kaiser. Further discussion? Okay, hearing none, please indicate by saying aye if you agree with the edits for this minutes.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Yes.
Abstain.
Okay. The ayes have it. I'm an aye. So the ayes have it, and we are noting 2 abstentions from Treasurer Hurlbut and Commissioner Rowden. Okay, ready for department reports? All right, we're doing Public Works first. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hardesty.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. So this is the section for the general fund. We're getting to be at that time of year again where grass literally grows as you're watching it. And so this is off of, this is one of our sections of the city at Cutting and off of San Joaquin there, just clearing some of the sound walls. This is an example of clearing of the sound walls. There's various of them around the city, and this is just an example of one of them that they did. In the middle there, you see the fence repair at Point Malati. Unfortunately, at one time, a car backed into that pole there and bent it back, so one of our supervisors directed a crew to go out there and repair it. Unfortunately, we don't have a picture of it being repaired, which we probably should have. And on the other picture there, the fence there, as you can see, there was some vegetation on that fence there, and apparently it got too heavy for the fence, so it kind of, we had a windstorm that just made it lean over a little bit, so we had to send somebody out there we sent one of our guys out there to repair it and get it back upright. Over at Judge Carroll, more vegetation work along the fence lines. It's one of the most difficult parts of keeping the weeds down is along the fence lines, especially up against the fence fabric, like that, because it kind of eats up the string on the weed eaters really quick. So that takes some time there. In the Hilltop District, we got one of our guys there doing some repair work. I'm not sure exactly what happened on why it got damaged. Maybe it just got graffitied or something, but that's that. And in the middle there, they're doing a replanting project over on the Giant Road median. And then some more weed abatement at Country Club Vista Park. In the Marina District, there's some like I said before, the Marina District, they do a lot of weed pulling by hand just because of the herbicide situation. So you can see the guys down there on their hands and knees in the median on Marina Bay, and the same thing for the underpass, the Moody Underpass. And the same thing over along the trail over by the shores in the marina. And I guess that's it. Any questions before we move on to Tafik? Yes, ma'am.
Do you keep track of when you have to remove a tree?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Is there a record of when you've had to remove a tree, say after a storm?
Oh, when we remove trees, yes, we keep records of that. Yeah.
Okay.
And we also keep the reason why we removed it. We have a whole checklist that the guys go through before they even remove the tree. Removing the tree is the very last resort. Not in the business to remove trees. Yes, ma'am.
I'm wondering how the mole and underground guys situation is in the parks.
So we don't really have a mole problem per se, but we do get gophers.
Gophers.
Yeah, which fortunately they're a lot easier to trap than moles. So one of the places that I can think of off the top of my head is Judge Carroll. That field is infested with them, and it's almost a full-time job just to try to keep up with them. But the guys do go out there and try to trap as many as they can.
And what happens to the trapped gophers?
Well,
don't
I tried
ask.
to keep that clean, but the trap that we use kills them.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
when we, yeah,
I see. Okay.
yeah.
You have Pat Gover's name?
Oh, no. I mean, I think they're starting a higher level culture in Richmond right now. Thank you.
Yep. What else? Yes, ma'am. No?
So I had sent an email and I got a response from you, so I'm just kind of curious. What's the, I guess the time out for getting that big belly repaired over at BTA?
So I do know we took delivery of some parts just recently. I don't know when it is on the schedule. Which location is that again? Remind me.
This is the
We
one
have
that's
several.
directly across from, I think it's at, dang it, but it's down near the roundabout at the end, right across
in the
from,
marina.
from the basketball
By the Ford
courts.
plant? By the ferry or?
No,
Which
no, no, no,
location?
BTA.
Oh, BTA. Okay, yeah, you can. I don't have that information, but
Yeah.
I will get it and I will send it to you.
Okay, yeah, now I just remembered. It's right across from Steege School.
Okay, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, it was a very windy day while I was out there, and one of the signs was flapping back and forth, and that's what caught my attention. I heard the noise, and I turned to look, I'm like, oh, you need some attention, a little TLC.
Oh, that part of it, I think that might have been fixed. Because I remember, now that I remember, yeah, when you sent me that email, I did forward it on to the supervisor. So I'm somewhat positive that he went out there and fixed it. If not, then it will be done right away.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, because I did drive by today, and I saw that the back that had fallen completely off was still missing, so
Okay,
I'm like,
okay, I'll follow up.
thank you.
That's it.
Okay, I guess that's it.
Okay, so
Thank you.
at the last meeting or meeting or so before, there was some questions about our park rules sign. So Tawfiq here, he's gonna speak on that. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Talabi.
Good evening, Chair Smith and Commissioners. My name is Tawfiq Halabi. I'm the Deputy Director for Public Works, overseeing operations and maintenance. Last month, Tyrone Nesbitt attended this meeting, and one of the requests that he received was for some signage in Spanish at city parks. And before we go into a project and expend funds on additional signs, we wanted to bring to your attention the existing signs that we have. And we think that this could work in lieu of adding more signs. So if you take a look on your screen, you'll see that this is a typical park rules sign. We do have a QR code, bottom right, and we do have the little stickers right in the middle there on the right-hand side in the universal language of.
Yeah, and when we talked about this before, about a year or two ago, we did talk about when I created the QR code that the RMCs would be translated in English and Spanish. So if you do scan that code, you'll see a document that will come up, and if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see it's in Spanish.
Okay, I haven't looked at that because I rarely do the QR code scan, but is there maybe a message at the top that lets them know that it's in Spanish below?
Good question. Let's try it. It's been so long since I did that.
It's an 8-page document, and the first few pages are in English, and then I guess it's 4 and 4. 4 in English, 4 in Spanish.
Pardon me, it's what?
4 pages in English, 4 pages in Spanish.
Got it, thank you.
It doesn't specifically say scroll down for Spanish, but I presume that's,
I suppose I can add that. That's easy enough. Yeah.
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 Thank you. Commissioner Rowden?
So I really do appreciate the technological innovation here. Just my one remaining concern is how would somebody looking at this sign know that they could get Spanish language information from that QR code? Because there's nothing on the sign itself that says that. And in fact, there's nothing on the sign itself that says that you would get this information in English by scanning the QR code.
Well, when somebody comes along to that sign and I see that QR code, I know what I would do is first thing I'd do is probably scan it and see what it is. But when we go to remake these, order these new signs, which is why the stickers are on here for now. This is just temporary until we get new signs ordered. We still have a big stock of these signs, so we want to use these up first. And then once we get the new signs, then we'll have all these other stickers that are on there permanently in a better visual place. And we can certainly add, Spanish there, directing to what this QR code is. Yeah.
I think that would be a good addition to the next signs, because I mean, QR codes are so ubiquitous and oftentimes are for internal purposes or whatnot that people don't often scan a QR code if they think, well, it's just related to the same thing I'm already seeing. And of course, the big issue the reason that this came up is just the idea that people don't know where to get that information. So without something saying, hey, this is where you get the information, they still don't know that that's what it does.
That's a good point.
So are we going to have one of these at each entrance to each park?
Your question was, do we have it like this in each park?
One of these signs at each entrance to each
Yeah,
park?
there should be several of these signs in all of our parks.
Great. That looks wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Kaiser?
Those, I like the stickers with the non-language communication there. Those are new? Have those been added to the existing signs?
They were added sometime early last year, probably about a year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
And this is one of the things that we discussed last year. Instead of
Yeah,
littering
yeah.
our fences with different
Right.
languages, we would have universal.
I'm a big fan
Yeah.
of that. I just wasn't sure if this is already in place in the park that Commissioner Blakely was particularly concerned about that brought this whole thing up.
And that's Miraflores, right? Yeah. I don't know, Christine, if you added that picture that I sent you, but no.
You,
So it's
you know,
okay.
the construction on Miraflores.
We took a picture. We took a picture of the sign at Miraflores, looking just like that.
Perfect,
Great,
wonderful,
great,
thank
great,
you.
Great. You know, the construction has been stopped at Miraflores still. It's still up in the air. But people can use the park, right?
I'm sorry, I don't understand. Go ahead.
Commissioner, I think you're referring to the development. Yeah, the development, it's been on hold for some time, yeah. As far as I know, the park is open to the public, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't remember how much of the park was finished when the development got suspended. I knew they had done most of it, but I didn't know if it was completed.
Well, one of the things I don't know if she's listening. Marcia's listening, but she was actually involved with that project. So when she gives her presentation, maybe we can ask her a quick question regarding that. She can give us more information, what's going on with the old houses that were supposed to be placed on site and refurbished and turned into community centers and whatnot. So she can maybe give an update on that. I'll text her to be prepared for it. I'm not sure if she's watching now.
Okay, thank you. If there are no more questions? Oh, yes, Commissioner Kaiser?
When Greg wasn't here, we asked about the
Yes.
the park summary table, and now you're here.
I saw that. You know, I was looking through it, and it looks like I may have gotten sidetracked and didn't finish. So,
The question that we have is dates, and I do see there's some, but when something says it's done, it looks like it's not all. So, yeah, it'd be great. Thank you for getting started
the first page or
on it.
so, I put the year on it, and for some reason, I must have gotten sidetracked when I sent it to Christine, and, but I will finish it, and you'll have it next month.
Can I ask you one clarifying one on the front page where it says, at Humboldt Park, it says basketball court resurfacing, it says due again 2009? It was due in 2009 and it hasn't been done again, like it was
Yeah,
last
so
done?
what I meant by that was, the basketball court was resurfaced in 2009, but
Now it's due
now
again.
we're,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
we're 12
Okay.
years later, or no,
Yeah.
maybe more than that, but,
Yeah.
and it's due again.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, you're either gonna have to develop a legend for us or teach us how to read your
Hieroglyphics or something,
mind
yeah.
or something. 'Cause we're just like, but good progress.
It's a
We're
work,
making
it's a work in
progress.
progress. We'll tailor it as we go.
Yeah, okay, good. Each time it's a little bit better. All righty, any further questions or discussion? No? Okay. Then, Madam Maharaj?
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Ranjana Maharaj, Deputy Director for Community Services Recreation. Thank you. So we are already started registration for our Elevate Summer Camp. These are the camps located at May Valley and the Richmond Recreation Complex. This camp has money attached to it, so that's why we started registration for them on April 1st. And if you skip over to the right-hand side, that's the Achieve Summer Camp that is being offered through 4 community centers. This camp is free, and we are going to open up registration for them on May 1st. The reason why we are doing that at 2 different months is when it's a free camp, a lot of people sign up, and then when we are ready to deliver, they back out. There's nothing to hold them accountable. So we try to let that open up closer to our summer camp dates. So that way we have the number of attendees that we are required to have at these 4 camps. Next slide, please. We have several sports activities scheduled, girls middle school basketball, and girls middle school volleyball leagues. They are supposed to happen at the Richmond Recreation Complex, but currently we have canceled, not really canceled, but postponed our sports activities because last Friday I was informed that the rec complex gym, it's near the south side basket, the floor is buckling, so it's creating a hazard for attendees, for participants. So we decided that we will not start our programs just yet or postpone it. We are trying to find placements either at Richmond Pal Gym and the school district gym across the street from us. So we will continue to offer this program as soon as we're able to secure the places. At some point, when BTA gym is able to accept us, once everything gets through, then we'll transfer the programs there. Next slide, please. So continuing on, we're supposed to offer at the Richmond Recreation Complex Boys Middle School, Middle School Boys and Girls Soccer League, as well as Basketball League. There again, we are going to postpone that a little bit until we are able to secure spaces for them to play. Futsal League again. Hopefully our gyms will be done by then, starting in June. I think this is one program that has our facility really packed during the weekends and evenings. Hopefully you guys can stop by and take a look sometime and check it out. It's a great program. And then Richmond Recreation Complex, we are offering Saturday programs from 9 until 2 p.m. These are for youngsters who are able to come in and enjoy different types of activities. Last week, I saw them starting with the chess program, which happens every other Saturday, and then they also offer other types, other activities for them to take part in. Next slide, please. Richmond Youth Outdoor Spring and Summer program. As we are speaking, we have 2 of our staff plus other part-time staff taking a camping trip. They are already, I forget the name of the park they're in, but they're already at the park. It's in Southern California. I'm sorry, I don't have the name of it, but Tate and Janae. They are actually escorting the camping trip. We had quite a few folks show up on Monday. They will be back tomorrow, so this is part of the Youth Outdoor program. And we have on the adult side fitness programs. You know, we have a fitness center at the rec complex. It's $5 a month and open to the public. We have co-ed adult softball, Zumba, and drop-in pickleball. Pickleball actually is indoors. It happens indoors when it's raining, and we have quite a few people lining up to play. So, so that's how we are supporting pickleball, and of course at BTA it happens. And then Zumba is extending to Marina Bay Park. It's starting on the second Saturday of each month. This is a program that our instructor wants to take out to the community out there with the hope that others will join. And of course, the fitness programs. Nevin and Shields Reed don't have a fitness center as large as the rec complex, but they do have some fitness machines. And I guess I mentioned the rest of the programs on this slide. Next slide, please. Lifeguard boot camp. This is something that our council members were interested in extending the lifeguard class. So we are working in collaboration with Employment and Training to help provide boot camp classes so that we can attract more youngsters to come in and go through our training with the hope that we can hire them. So hopefully we will continue to attract our community members to join this class. And this is a paid training. We are not the ones paying it. Employment and Training is paying the ones who sign up to attend, and hopefully we'll continue to hire lifeguards through this program.
Excuse me, would you please repeat? You say employment and
Employment
training?
and Training, yes. They are helping. They have grants to help us offer this program, and they're paying them a stipend to attend. The thing is, the one problem that we have is quite a few people who register to attend, but they don't know how to swim. So that it's hard for us to work with them because we cannot continue to run a program to start teaching them how to swim and then try to hire them as lifeguards. Yeah. So this month, actually not this month, last month we held egg hunts, and this particular one is the land egg hunt that happened on a day it was raining. And so we moved the egg hunt inside the Richmond Recreation Gym. And thank you, Commissioner Blakely. She happened to be by. I'm sorry I missed you. And I missed the egg hunt myself because I came in and they were setting up, and I said, okay, I'll go upstairs and start working on some documents. And before you know it, all these people came through. We had over 300 kids. And I texted staff downstairs. I said, well, let me know if you need any help. I'll come down. And they said, oh, we are already breaking down. I said, seriously? I missed it. So I went downstairs. They were all packed and ready to go. So, regardless of the rain, we still offered this nice program. And then there was the floating egg hunt. I don't know if any one of you were able to swing by. I missed it. I missed this one as well, but according to our aquatic staff, they had about 200 people that came by, and they had to pre-register. And it's just interesting. People were wondering how a floating egg hunt was going to be conducted. And so they don't have any candy inside those eggs. They have a little note in there, but whoever participated, they got a little bag of candy when they were leaving. So that's how they conducted that one. But it's fun for the participants. And then last Saturday, we held an event, and this was an extension of the Zumba program. It was a festival of Holi. I don't know how many people know about it. Wonderful. This is where the color run comes from. It's actually an Indian festival. And in brief, it has to do with you play with different colors, powder that's really colored in all different colors, and you kind of throw it on each other. And this it's a symbolic celebration of spring, the harvest, new life, and the triumph of good over evil. There's more meaning behind it. There's always several meanings behind it, but that's the easiest way to explain it. So we had so much fun. We were worried about doing this program because it was supposed to be in the park, but because the ground was so wet, we moved it onto the parking lot. And the sun came out, it was a little breezy, and the wind was carrying the powder to the people, so it was really nice. And so you can see we had a lot of fun. And then coming up, we have on April 13th, the Literacy Festival. It's at the Richmond Auditorium. I hope you will be able to stop by there. And then we are getting ready for the Parks Prescription Day on April 27th at Nickel Park. And we hope that you will join us there as well. So with that, I believe this is the end of our slide, and I am ready to answer any questions you may have.
Yes, Treasurer Holbert.
Ranjana, I don't have a question. I just wanted to say that I so admire the ingenuity of your programs, and I am sure that the people in this town are learning how to think out of their life boxes when they see these programs, and they give their children a broader perspective of the peoples that are all around us. And so I think it's fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And actually, this is something that City Council wanted us to do last year when we were attending budget presentations. One of the goals that they have for us is to add more cultural festivals and cultural items. These are like one-day events. So we are trying to expand our programs that already exist and introduce new ones. And what we would love is to have more community members come out and support us at these programs. So it's for them. I hope that, the word gets out and they will continue to support us. Thank you for your comment.
Okay, if there's no other comments or questions, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a presentation that's going to come through via Zoom on update on the soccer field construction.
you ready?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. My name is Marcia Valier. I work with CSWST2, and I do have a PowerPoint presentation. Ew. If you want to bring that up, please.
Yeah, that's the, I thought that when
There's
I saw myself, I'm like, whoa,
there are
okay.
two of me up there. Whew, brutal. If not, I can. There it is. So the reason I'm here is I want to make sure that we keep you as a commission up to date with what we've been working on. I know you saw a preliminary presentation about this, but this is an updated presentation that we did for City Council. And I wanted to, like I say, keep you in the loop. Next slide, please. So what we've been doing since last year is we've been taking a look at existing parks in Richmond, and we're looking to identify parks where we can upgrade the courts and fields and soccer fields within the existing city parks. Next slide, please. And the city council actually began by giving us the directive to start to implement some projects based on the assessment that we had done that we presented to you last year. But basically what we're doing is we're going to be doing some work from fiscal year 23-24. There's some ARPA funds that the city council, it's a American Rescue and Recovery project funds, and basically fiscal year 23-24 and potentially 24-25 funds will be given to renovating a couple of parks. And so are also some more of the actions that they recommend were existing grant funded projects, continue to move on those. We have 2 grant funded projects. One is Borman Park. We're working to get through the environmental process with that and then get that park renovated. Shields Reed Park bid, and the bids came in today, and I'm not sure exactly what they were. There's also the Dirt World project and the Harbor 8 project. Those are some grant funded projects that the city has been working on, and we're going to continue to do that. And we're going to continue to look for grants to upgrade fields and parks. And then we're also doing a review and have done a review to make sure there's equitable allocation of resources around the city for all of that, and then pursuing joint use agreements with West Contra Costa Unified to expand the offerings to the community for recreation. Next slide, please. So again, back in 2010, there was a parks master plan that was done. And that plan, basically what it does is it inventories all the parks within the city and classifies them between pocket park, neighborhood park, community park, and regional park. Now, what we did is we took a look at the neighborhood and community level parks because we were responding to requests by the soccer community and other field users to find space for the kids to play. Next slide, please. So what we, just giving you a little background, you have 50 parks, as you well know, and you have 247.6 acres of parkland. And there were, in that 2010 plan, there were 7 joint use sites of an additional 30 acres. So currently, because we added Miraflores, you have 278.3 acres of land, and that does include the joint use sites. The other thing that's really important about Richmond is we're rich in regional parks. So we have 7 regional parks, and we're also blessed by having a National Historical Park, the Rosie the Riveter. Next slide. So the population has changed since 2010. So that has increased some deficits, and we still have a very large population of people under 18 years of age, and then 14% of the population is 65 years older. So that tells us that we have youth that really need places to play, and we have places that for seniors that we need to develop as well. Next slide, please. The thing that was done within that 2010 park plan is the level of service was established. So as you know, national standards, there are national standards, and then there are also community standards that we set. So 3 acres of community and neighborhood parks per 1,000 residents. And so when we looked at currently, the city has a deficit of parkland per 1,000 people. We have 2.12 acres of parkland per 1,000 people within the city. And some of the city council districts, we redid the plan to align with city council districts. Some of the council districts are underserved and some are adequately served. Next slide, please. And you can see that there are 4 neighborhoods or 4 districts out of 6 that have less parkland per 1,000 than other areas. And that's due to the fact that a lot of the areas in Richmond are well built out. And so it's a very urban area. So we need to be careful, and we need to expand the parklands within those areas and upgrade the parklands that we have existing. Next slide, please. 2 of the districts, District 2 and District 4, they are, again, blessed with a lot of regional parks. And so the parkland offerings in those 2 districts are very broad and varied. Next slide. So the current needs. So back in 2010, what they do is in the park master plans, they look at field sports. So we're looking at sports that actually have size requirements that, for instance, baseball, softball, football, soccer, and basketball. There are certain sizes of courts that you do. And so we started to look at the existing fields in 2010 and the existing sports. And in 2010, we had 2 softball fields that we were short. And we had 19 soccer fields that were short. So the city only had 2 dedicated and still only has 2 dedicated soccer fields. In 2020, we actually used the 2021 data at Council Member McLaughlin's request. But now we have a 1.5 baseball field, 3.5 softball fields short, half a football field, 6 basketball, and 23 soccer fields that were short. Next slide, please. So it's kind of just telling you that we have a need for a few things. Now, we've started looking at the soccer level of service, and that's 1 field per 5,000, and that's how we came up with the 23 fields. Next slide, please. So we started going out and talking to all the field users. Soccer has 38 to 40 teams, and that's the Richmond Soul, the Rayados, as well as the Richmond United Soccer Club. And they play year round with about 2 to 3 weeks at Christmas where they don't play. And we also talked to the clubs that they compete with, the Albany Berkeley Soccer Club, West Contra Costa Youth Soccer League, and East Shore Alliance to try and understand how those groups, 1, practice, and 2, compete. Next slide, please. So the places that the soccer clubs and leagues play are Tom Bates Regional Sports Complex. Now, there's a lot of difficulty getting in to use that complex, even though the city of Richmond does contribute to the maintenance of that and helped pay for that. So we're working to get more time at Tom Bates Regional Sports Complex. Martin Luther King Jr. Park is one of the dedicated parks that actually has a soccer field. Booker T. Anderson has space for soccer. Country Club Vista Park is the 2nd dedicated soccer field. Shields Reed Park, Nickel Park, and Wendell Park are the locations where soccer clubs play. Next slide, please. And like I said, we also looked at multiple sports like baseball, softball, and football. And so there's almost 90 teams for those sports. So we've got, the Richmond Little League, there's 12 teams, the City and Richmond PAL, 12 teams, Junior Giants, 22 teams, the Steelers, which is big, 6 to 7 teams, East Bay Cyclones, 16 teams. The next slide, the places that perfect, thank you. The places they play are Booker T, Nickel. Nickel is pretty much dedicated to the Steelers. Boyd Park, Belding Garcia, North Richmond Ball Fields, and Tiller Park. So those are the locations they play. Next slide, please. So for basketball is all over. There are 15 parks where there are basketball, and we need to find additional hard court areas to expand those as well. Next slide. So when we talk to these groups, there are additional things that they need in parks to support club and league play. Parking is one, because a lot of people come to the parks, accessible path of travel, restroom and drinking fountains, spectator area, fencing. They also requested play areas for non-participating siblings. And then there's storage for equipment and lighting for evening play, because these leagues do play into the evening and they play year round. So, with daylight savings time, it gets dark. So lighting was one of the things that was requested. Next, please. So there are two field sizes that the soccer clubs and leagues really need. There's a U10, which is for 10-year-old and under, and then U13, which is 13 to 18-year-olds, and adults can play on that size field as well. And so we talked to the soccer groups, and they think maybe 6 to 10 of the larger and 13 to 17 of the smaller fields would work for them. Next slide. So these are the sizings. We can click through these. Next slide. So that, a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger for the older kids. Next slide. And so what we did is we looked at all of the neighborhood and community level parks, and we found 18 to 20 parks within the city that could accommodate those fields. But they're always multi-purpose fields. They're always on the outfields of the baseball and softball fields. But 17 neighborhood parks, 3 community parks, and we also have 4 to 6 joint use sites that we could use to potentially get the number of fields that we need to meet the soccer deficit. Next slide, please. So our recommendations in looking at all of these things were to look at increasing the maintenance staff and budget so that all of the parks that we found could be potentially used, because if many of the fields, all of the fields except for Martin Luther King, are natural grass, and it has to be rested. People have to, rotate through different parks so that they don't damage the turf. When it rains, it needs to rest, needs to be reseeded and things like that. So having multiple places and increasing the level of maintenance would mean that there would be more areas to play. We also are looking at pursuing that joint use agreement with the school district to expand the recreational offerings, because they do have some great space. And again, because our communities are so built out, we need to use we need to be creative about where we do our parks. And then the other thing is upgrading existing facilities. Next slide, please. So for maintenance, we looked at the National Park and Recreation assessment. They do, every few years, they do kind of a nationwide survey on maintenance and budgets and things like that. And so the Parks Department has 34 staff, and they have 3 park supervisors, and of course, Greg. And so there's 50 plus parks that they need to take care of, as well as the grounds, landscape roadways, and other public spaces. And using the standards, we found that we need about 13 to 14 full-time equivalent employees to augment the 34 staff members. And so we've made that recommendation to City Council that we do need more maintenance staff to be able to keep the parks and public lands maintained. Next slide, please. Then for joint use agreements, the thing that's been happening is the soccer clubs have been really advocating, not only in Richmond, but to the county as well as the other municipalities around within the West Contra Costa Unified School District facilities or area. And there's a group called Plays, and it's an initiative through Supervisor Joya's office through the county that is looking to fund investments toward the cost of renting the West Contra Costa facilities. And basically what happens is they're charged custodial fees. And so what they want to do is to be able to offset those fees by using county funds to pay for those upkeep and custodial fees, while also potentially funding a part-time consultant to help pilot a program that would help schedule these facilities at the school district, so that the field uses so that the leagues and baseball, softball, soccer, all of them can find places to play. And then there's also a system change collaborative group that the county has formed. It's met a couple of times this year already, and the mayor is representing the city of Richmond, but all the municipalities that feed into the school district are looking at talking to the school district and negotiating joint use. And they're also trying to look at managing the scheduling with the school district as well. Next slide, please. So what city council did is they kind of put their money where their mouth is, and they allocated $4.2 million of the ARPA funds from fiscal year 23-24 to do improvements to soccer fields, courts, and lighting, restrooms, etc., to really expand the usability of the existing fields. And what we did is we started looking at where we could get the most benefit from that money. And we were looking at one, where soccer currently plays; two, where we could do multiple things, not just improve the grass for soccer, but also make sure that we could do a little bit more with the money, as well as looking at the underserved districts where there is a major deficit, and then where like I said, the additional amenities would benefit everybody. Next, so we were looking at Wendell Park, which is in the north and east neighborhood. And what we're proposing to do at Wendell Park is to upgrade the outfield grass, or upgrade the grass, redo the softball infield, and redo the fencing around the outside edge, and potentially install a single stall restroom. And this is a neighborhood level park, not a community level park. And typically neighborhood parks are something that the community within a half a mile of the park walks to. So you typically don't have a restroom, but because this is used for both softball and soccer, we were proposing to put in a restroom. There's 2 futsal fields there right now. There's a play area and a community garden, and then the field. So that was what we were hoping to do at Wendell Park. Then at Shields Reed Park, that's currently one of the grant funded projects, but the grant did not fund the renovation of the field. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to renovate the grass field, natural grass field, with irrigation system upgrades, etc. So the softball infield, redo the fencing around the outside, resurface the basketball courts, and install new backstop seating and conduits for evening lighting. And then at Martin Luther King, which is in District 3, that's in the Coronado neighborhood, but it's also right next to Santa Fe neighborhood, so that benefits those 2 districts. Shields Reed, of course, was a Shields Reed neighborhood. What we are looking to do there is, because that's very, very heavily used, is to renovate the existing restroom, replace all the fixtures, and get it back up. Because it's been, Greg, you'll have to remind me, I think we did that in 2012. So we're getting a parts list to renovate all of the fixtures within that restroom. We also have a contingency because we got $4.2 million. So we have a $300,000 contingency. And if we get good bids within the number we think we're going to get, we could maybe upgrade and renovate the play area, or maybe even just replace the restroom completely at Martin Luther King, or install field lights at Shields Reed Park with the extra funds. And then we have another buffer of about $500,000 for all of the fees, the city staff, the consultants, and additional overruns that takes that $4.2 million. Next slide, please. So the ARPA funded, sorry about the spacing on that. So the ARPA funding project, if we do get additional funds, what we'd like to look at doing is potentially installing artificial turf at a couple of the parks. That would be Wendell and Shields Reed. One of the things that we heard is that, because of rains and different things like that, and the heavy use of natural grass fields, artificial turf is typically more playable year round. One of the things when we presented that to City Council is they asked us to come back with a presentation on the health risks associated with artificial turf. So we're preparing that, and we'll be getting that back and presenting that to the City Council within the next month or so. And we'd love to come back and present the same thing to you. And then the other option would be to do a little bit more at Martin Luther King. We have to make a selection on what we want to do if we get additional funding. At Martin Luther King Park, there's a baseball field that's not used because the infield and the outfield and stuff are not large enough. So what we'd like to do is to take that area where between the basketball courts and tennis courts over to the roadway and to create an artificial turf field that is multi-purpose, that would do baseball, softball, as well as full-size soccer and football. So it would really expand the offerings at that park and become sort of a hub. And we may be able to install a couple of additional courts there as well. In the long term, at Martin Luther King, they looking at replacing the community center. So next slide, we'll start to show you basically those are our priorities. Now, what we're going to be doing is we came back to you this evening to introduce the fact that we're going to start talking to the neighborhoods in these three parks: Shields Reed, Martin Luther King, and Wendell Park. And unfortunately, I have Iron Triangle on there for Shields, but it is the Shields Reed Neighborhood Council. But we're going to go to the neighborhood councils, and we're going to start talking to the neighbors about, how do you feel about this? This is what we're thinking. This is what City Council and the city staff, both the Public Works and Recreation Department, have been really working towards. And then in May and June, we'd like to do larger community meetings to really talk about the improvements in those parks. So the next slides will start to talk about the longer term facility upgrades. What we've done is we've said, okay, these would be the short term, but in the medium and long term, within each of the districts, what could we do? And so we've gone, I'm not going to go through every single thing, but what I'd like to do is just to show you that, in each of the districts, we've tried to meet some of the deficits and do some of the improvements to make sure that the parks are much more viable within each of the parts of the city. Next slide, please. So you can see District 3, next slide, District 4, 5, and 6. So we're really trying to make sure that there's equity in everything we're doing. We're trying to concentrate on the underserved areas and meet the deficits that have been established since 2010 for soccer especially, and then start to meet some of the basketball and softball, baseball deficits as well. Next slide. So the next steps for us are starting to really implement those ARPA funded projects that City Council has generously allocated money for. And then we're going to look at the costs for each of the parks to construct these multipurpose fields. We're going to reach out to the community and really have them help us prioritize the park's uses. And then we're going to look at the maintenance and evaluate the resources that we have within the city and establish the optimum levels of maintenance so that Greg and his crew and Tofik and all his group, they have people that can help do this. So with that, I will stop talking, and I'd love to entertain questions.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Valier. Questions? Okay, Treasurer Hurlbut.
Hi, my question, well, it's an observation that for us here in the Rec and Parks Commission, I think the most important thing is the community outreach very early in the process to make sure that the priorities that you've assessed are the priorities of the actual people who are involved in the community meetings. So
Absolutely.
that
Thank you.
the population numbers and the interest levels are exactly similar. So thank you.
Thank you very much for that. That is a key point. We want to make sure that we reach out to the neighbors adjacent, reach out to the leagues, just really open it up. The other thing that we did is we did base some of our decisions also on the 2019 report that the West County Regional Group of First Five and Healthy and Active Before Five has done. And it did an assessment of every single park, and it ranked the parks in order of best to not worst. And so what we've been doing with the Recreation Department and Public Works is we've been clicking through those from the bottom up. Like Borman Park was one, Boyd Park, we have a grant application for, et cetera, Shields Reed was one, Wendell Park was one. So we've been clicking through from the bottom to the top based on the assessments that were done. In addition, so that there's an Hellman Foundation grant that was given to the Trust for Public Lands. And they're currently working with a nonprofit group in the city to do a park equity study and look at every single park within Richmond and within the central core area of Richmond where the greatest deficits are. And we're dovetailing our work in with their work so that we can really get a solid look at what's going on, what is needed, what people want, and then we can start to address it. They're doing kind of the big picture, and I'm doing the implementation, boots on the ground, let's get it done.
Thank you. Commissioner Kaiser?
Hi, Marcia. Thank you for this. This is amazing. I have a few questions. One, will we be able to get a copy of those slides? I'd like to go through them more slowly.
Sure.
Is that possible
I've given that to the city, so they are
Okay.
right there for you.
Okay, thank you. So a couple different things came to my mind. One is I didn't hear anything about walkability and bikeability to the parks. I think that is a really important aspect of accessibility. So I want to make sure that that comes into play with any renovations. I think that's part of something that we should always be considering is how we get to our parks. And then the other, I guess, more comment is that in the outreach, be aware that the neighborhood councils often are not very representative of the neighborhood. There's a certain cohort or contingent that shows up for neighborhood meetings, and there's a whole lot of other people in the neighborhood whose feedback it would be great to get. So it would be great to do some types of outreach, which is not just the neighborhood council meetings.
Thank you. That's a really important point. I'm so glad you mentioned that. First of all, the walkability and bikeability, that is something that we're interfacing with the Hellman Foundation grant on. And there's a couple of projects, as you know, because you were there, and Commissioner Blakely was also there for the e-bike lending library and other projects that are ongoing. But the other thing that we're doing is we are going to the neighborhood councils because there's a hierarchy of people that we need to hit, but we're going to be working and engaging with the soccer and the other baseball, softball leagues to do outreach and mailings, use their outreach, all of their Facebook pages and their media and different things like that to get the word out. And then we're asking them to help us go walk door to door and give flyers to the neighbors and greater community to make sure that we get the input that we need. We could also, I'll be meeting with the park equity group on Thursday, and I'll mention that maybe we need to do some type of a citywide survey.
Well,
And
I
so
think
I'll
even
look at
just
that.
in those specific parks that you're
Yes.
proposing making changes to, hanging out in those parks and talking to and seeing the people who go there that aren't
That's a great
necessarily
idea.
part of organized sports, because lots of people use the parks in a more casual way.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you.
It's definitely more than what I've had anticipated getting today, so thank you again. Here's part of the issues that I've mentioned previously, and, I'm just on this one. If we do decide to go with artificial turf, we must keep in mind of the commuter traffic that we have going on. Many of these parks are a stone's throw or less than a mile away from these parks. The expressways, I'm sorry, I'm from the Midwest, so the freeways and the heavily commuted main thoroughfares. If we don't have grass, we really need to make sure that either there's French drains or there's some good drainage that, because the soil's not gonna absorb it as well, and we're gonna need trees. We're absolutely going to need trees, especially in the areas where we were already thinking about adding fencing. So it'll blend on in. I'm thinking about the survival of the residents, the visitors, the business people as we move forward. I just, I understand how the artificial turf may be more friendly to this particular budget that we have. So I'm not saying that that's a no. I'm just saying we must mitigate the potential problems that could happen without having Mother Nature helping us to help us. Make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Our office helps the city by preparing the urban greening master plan. And so we're very well aware of the benefits of trees to cool and sequester carbon and create habitat, et cetera. But I hear what you're saying, especially about the drainage and trees, as well as the fact that what we're going to be doing is, for instance, if we do artificial turf, we would use a clean fill that doesn't like not the recycled tire infill that used to be used a lot. There are different types of, there's cork, there's coconut hulls, there's different organic type of infill for the artificial turf that makes it a little cooler. So the only thing that we would do is just a couple of fields would be artificial turf, and the rest would be natural turf, because you do know that that grass does, clean the air, water, it does sequester carbon, et cetera. So we're well aware of that. We're just making sure that we have some playability year round. And so it is a balancing act. But what I will come back to the commission and present the findings about the artificial turf so that you can feel comfortable and weigh in on it. So we're
Thank
good
you.
with that.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've mentioned it before, and I'm sure that you're well versed in this. It's just, it's really important. I didn't hear you mention it in that. I didn't see it in the
Right.
report. So,
I should have said that.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
And the
But
other thing
again,
is we want to
great
make
work.
sure, oh, thank you. We want to make sure that turf is recyclable, that the carpet is recyclable. So all of that we're thinking about. And then to answer an earlier question about Miraflores, yes, the park is opened and it is complete as far as the park design goes. The developer of the market rate housing portion of the project is in bankruptcy and foreclosure. And so he's trying to get out of that. And so we're waiting to see what's going to happen with that. However, in the interim, we are working with an architect to look at moving those historic structures, the Oishi and Sakai House, the Oishi House and the Sakai Complex with the pump house and all of that, into the park itself. And we secured a Japanese American confinement sites grant, which is one of the few in the country that was for a site that wasn't an internment camp. This was a big deal that Richmond won this. And so we are just completing the interpretation and the signage. And I'd love to come back and present that to you too, because we're just finishing that grant up, and that construction should happen sometime this fall. So would love to show you what's going on with that.
So
It's
I
pretty
don't know
exciting.
if I should snap my fingers, clap my hands, or whatever, but that's good news. I like
Yeah,
that.
pretty
Yeah.
awesome. We're thrilled.
That high five, fist bump, whatever it is you will take. It's like, that's great. Yeah.
Woohoo!
Okay, any other questions or comments for Ms. Valier? No? Thank you so, so much. We really, really appreciate you being, what do we put it? Being forefront and wanting to make sure that we're involved with this, because sometimes we ask and we understand that folks have very, very full calendars. So thank you for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you. I've been honored to work on Richmond projects for a really long time, and I truly appreciate all of the goodwill and being able to work on these fantastic projects. It's a dream. So thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night. Thank you. Okie dokie. So we have completed that part. All right. We've got ad hoc committee reports. It's been so much going on, I'm not sure where we are with Sustainability and Climate Responsiveness Committee. Have we had a meeting?
We haven't had a meeting, but I went to the Urban Forestry Advisory Committee meeting, as I was invited by Doria Robbins last time. And I think it would behoove us on both sides to have a closer relationship with them. So I might continue going to their meetings. And I was able to give them a lot of leads on some of the things they're trying to do. Some of them are parallel to what we're trying to do in other respects. They wanted to present to the city council, and one of their recommendations for the budget is to have a specific tree crew that would work on pruning the trees to keep them healthy and structurally sound, so that it wasn't a retrospective job to clean up after the branch fell. And possibly, if the branch falls because it's rotten or should have been removed, it could hurt somebody. So yeah, that was their number one priority, was to get some kind of maintenance on the trees. They were also interested, and this is why I asked Greg earlier about keeping a record of when a tree is taken out. They'd like to tap into that information. And I told them I believe you would have it. And so they might be contacting you. Because, yeah, they want to keep track, again, of when a tree is taken out and if it is replaced and what kind and where and that kind of thing. Thanks.
May I? Chair, Commissioners, I'm glad this came up. One of the priorities of the Public Works Department is to really up our game when it comes to the urban forest. So the Commissioner had mentioned having data. So we do aspire to, and we are taking steps to update the data that we have to make sure that the UFAC, Groundwork Richmond, City of Richmond, any other groups have access to the data. when trees were planted, what species they are, when the canopies were pruned, et cetera, et cetera. So we always have an up-to-date count. So that's one of our goals. I just wanted to mention that. I think it was an appropriate time to mention that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Hallaby. Appreciate that. Okay. All right, so moving on. Youth and Associate Commissioners, I have yet to catch up with Lupe. We're both incredibly busy. So, oh, yes.
I just want to make sure that my understanding of where we are is correct. I believe at the last meeting on which I was residing, we said, I think it was LaShonda that said that, or perhaps it was you, Ranjana, that suggested that you were going to put together a meeting where, with the appropriate CSD and city manager staff, that would have restate what the purpose and how the process would go of training youth on the issues of public service and if they were interested in a particular level of public service, not just Rec and Parks Commission, but overall park commissions and boards, that there would be a training process or an educational process, that it wasn't a classroom type thing, but maybe an overview and materials with that. And I have not been invited to one of those meetings. Is LaShonda or you planning to spearhead that first before anything else happens here?
That's where Lupe comes in, because she is connected to the, what is that board? It's has to do with the youth, and that's where I was going to come from. It wasn't probably going to be exactly like what we were envisioning, but we are hoping that Lupe could provide that connection between the, I can't remember the name of the board that she works with, because that's where the youth are serving. And then she would be connecting them to us. And I'm not sure exactly how it's going to pan out, but at some point, I think when we can meet with Lupe, she could provide some direction as far as how we can make this happen.
Who's the point person on getting that started, LaShonda?
That would be, it was supposed to be us, but Lupe moved into a different section of our department. And she's still connected with the Youth Advisory Board, but she's no longer working with me directly, so I have to connect with her to see how this is going to pan out. So let me get back and check with her and see how we can make this happen. And I know Chair Smith has been trying to meet with Lupe for a long time, and I know she hasn't had time, so I think there hasn't been any activity since we last discussed this. So let me connect with Lupe. I actually have a meeting with her tomorrow. I can ask her and see if she could provide some information as to how we can move this forward.
Thank you. It's very, very important to me that we, after all this time, get something going so that we can get the youth community interested in being on our boards and our commissions. Thank
Yes.
you.
All right, thank you.
And thank you. Next. All righty, so we are on to Richmond Parks Master Plan Checklist Update. So we kind of touched on it in the beginning. Was there anything additional you wanted to add?
No, nothing further, other than finishing putting the dates on there and sending it back out. I apologize for that.
Great, thank you. Okay, next. All right, so I'll go last. So Vice Chair Blakely, have any commissioner report?
Actually, yeah, the main thing I did was attend that Urban Forestry Advisory Committee meeting. And actually, yeah, 2 or 3 of them are on the group that we're working on the tree list as far as fire safety. And so we reconnected, and yeah, I gave them a brief report on what we're doing and vice versa. And I think they're very organized and together, and I'm looking forward to more.
Fabulous, thank you. All right, so Treasurer Hurlbut?
I have nothing meaningful to report other than I'm glad I'm able to walk around now and get to some of the parks to do some work that I've been foisting off on my husband for the past year. So you'll see me more out there now, starting now. Thanks for your patience.
Hey, all good. Marriage is a teamwork effort, right? There you go. Appreciate that. Okay, Commissioner Kaiser?
Thank you. The main thing I'm going to report is that this is very likely my last meeting. It is the end of my initial round, but I also need to resign because I have some part-time employment with the city, and so I cannot be on the commission and be employed by the city. And I haven't had my first day yet, and I don't know when that's coming, but I was waiting to see if I could make this meeting, but so far I was able to make this meeting, and so I'm glad that I get to say thank you so much to everyone for being such a great group to work with, and I really appreciate the courtesy and respect and passion that everybody has. I think that it's been a really interesting experience for me. I love the city, and I'm excited to give some of my skills to the city in a different way.
What position are you taking?
It's part-time at the library.
Oh, okay, awesome. Welcome.
Thanks. Waiting for the background check. I'm assuming the background check clears.
Okay, thank you for the humor because my heart is breaking. But
I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to not be on this dais anymore.
but you kind of sort of keep me in line.
Oh, you want me to sit out there from now on?
Wait. Commission lunch is on me.
Let's talk about it off here. But anyway, thank you for the update. Your presence will be sorely missed.
Yes.
And we will absolutely continue to contact you for your expertise on certain topics if you are so open. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Rowden.
I have nothing in particular to report other than I ran several weeks ago now a 5K through the parks around the Marina Bay area, and they looked really nice, and everyone seemed to be having a great time. So it was nice to have a spot of good weather and actually get out and see it. So.
Can I ask you what 5K was it?
Is the Victory 5K that actually commemorates the shipbuilding heritage
Oh, I
in
didn't
Richmond.
know about
So that
that.
was
Cool.
It's put on by organizations. They do one here and they do one in San Leandro that are like companion events. And it was actually the one in 2020 was the last 5K I got to do before everything shut down, and I haven't done a 5K since then. So I thought I'll get back into it this year and run the same one again. So it was really nice, but it was really great that event brings a lot of people to highlight, I think, a particularly beautiful park area, and it really was really at its best that day. I think everyone who came got a really great view of what our parks are like.
Can I ask you questions about that? Were there any signs up indicating that the farmer's market will be there starting this Sunday?
So there were not, but this was quite like 3 or 4
3
weeks ago.
ago.
So I'm not sure if they were
There-
advertised that yet.
So there are 3 banners hanging right now. Yeah, and then by Friday, there'll be some barricades out in the parking lot letting people know that these spots are going to be taken on Sunday. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, good for you. I, I haven't like done any consistent running in a long time, so kudos to you, man.
Well, this is the Recreation Commission, right?
I'm sorry,
Well,
Joey, but
that,
you
that
are
does,
running.
That doesn't mean that I'm not moving and exercising and doing things. I just haven't done a 5K in I don't know how long.
I
You and
was
me.
just about to remind you, you are running all the time.
Yeah, say thank goodness for the teas that I have. Okay, so I tend to wear several hats. So wherever I am, I consider myself representing this commission as well as everything else. So I went to the Sisters in Solidarity and gave them information about our recreation areas, our parks, our facilities, informed them of some of the information of what's going on around here. Additionally, I went to the closing reception for RAC. Okay, that African diaspora exhibit, wonderful. I went to the opening, it was amazing. Yeah, I was asked to go to the opening, but I had a previous engagement, so I couldn't.
It was crowded. I was meant to go back to see more because it was so crowded.
Yeah, well, the closing was pretty crowded too. I mean, at least there was room to see through the room. I've been in some where you can't even see the other side of the room. So, yeah, that was awesome. In the process, I get a chance to look around at the parks that are in those areas, and they were all looking nice. I don't know if they were spruced up because of the events or not, but hey, it's good when they look good. I've noticed that Stewart Park seems to be, or playground seems to be surviving from all that rain, and I know we got some more rain coming tonight. Yeah, so I'll keep an eye out for you just to, help. It's because you only have so many heads that can see things at the same time, right? And I'll leave it at that. Other than I was bragging about our floating Easter egg hunt to a few other organizations that I've been part of. It's like, how in the world do you do floating eggs? I thought that healthy eggs sink. I said, well, yeah, they do, but think about the fact that it's a whole lot more water. And they're just like, are you serious? I said, no, they're plastic. Yeah, and someone was comparing, said, "Oh well, we do the floating pumpkins," and I said, "Yeah, well we do too." Oh, so I'm doing my best to share with others who may not normally come around our areas, whether they are part of Richmond or some of our neighboring areas. They get to hear the good stuff from me. So, yeah. All righty. Next slide, please. Aha. So, okay. So, any assignments that we've got? Oh, that's right. Brown Act. We had Brown Act training too. I knew there was something else. But any other things that we can think of right now that we want to put on the agenda?
About the Brown Act, am I not in the loop? I missed the meeting that was scheduled for last week. And I wondered if it had been taped or is it going to be held again?
To my knowledge, it did get recorded, yes?
It did get recorded. Christine tried to send it out, but I believe your firewalls are not allowing you to receive.
Can you just tell us where we can find a connection on the city website so we can get it that way?
It is currently not on the city website, so I think we may have to place it there so you can retrieve
can
it.
access that
Oh,
way.
we will probably have to ask our IT as to how we can send it to you. As far as the PowerPoint, James, the attorney who conducted the training, he's out of the office until next week. So when he comes back, I will have the PowerPoint sent to me and I will share that with all of you. Christine will send it out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, thank you. All right, so I'm sure if we come up with something, we'll let you know and we'll add it to the agenda.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, can I announce one thing before you close the meeting? And thank you to Greg and Commissioner Kaiser for mentioning the farmer's market. It is happening this Sunday, and our division is also going to be there to provide some activities alongside the library. And so we are in the process of getting our stuff ready. And I believe Troy Porter, the recreation supervisor who came during my absence and attended the meeting on my behalf, he probably told you about our recreation trailer that we bought. And so our trailer is ready, and we are really excited to open it during the farmers market event this Sunday. And hopefully you get to see what kinds of games and activities we are able to offer. So that's one item I wanted to also remind you of. The second item is that I hope you are able to attend the community budget meetings that's coming up. The first one is Monday, and we can send you the flyer because it's open for the community. You can attend through Zoom and listen to see what, and you can voice your opinions as far as what you're looking for as far as support for us. And your voices carry, very strongly within the council, because I recall when going back quite a few years back when we had suffered the layoff in 2004, Recreation and Parks was one department, and our department was almost decimated. We had lost about 75% of our personnel. And it took us a long while to get back, and the folks who really got us some funding and got recreation open, because parks, they realized the value of park staff and parks being there. But recreation, it was very difficult for us to get back to any kind of service level. So then chair and commission members, they were at every city council meeting advocating for us. And I can't thank them enough for being there for us, because, as staff, we were just trying to do like 5 people's jobs. It was very difficult, and we had very reduced hours. So in saying all this, in sharing this with you, your voices do carry. So please do attend and support us however you can, so that we can continue to bring in more services. And thank you for that.
Okay, so noted, for sure. And I have seen a couple of the flyers around for the budget and for the farmer's market. In fact, I saw it at the place of the buddy of mine who I was mentioning tend to go across the bridge, and He's just like, oh, no, 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 I'm going to be there. I said, all right, I like it. Not only that, turns out he's going to be a vendor. So, yeah, I'm like, okay, this is a good thing. And, you know, the more we have people who are here and local wanting to be a part of it, the more it's gonna spread because they're gonna get the word out. And I'm like, yes, I like it. Okay, our next meeting is May 1st. If there are some additional topics, please shoot them to Rajna and Christine. And it looks like we get to have a few more minutes back to our lives. We are officially adjourning at 7:40 p.m.